Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial to show you guys how to make this adorable little crochet ghost. He's really cute. The whole body is no-sew. The only thing you have to sew on is the hat, which is optional if you would like to. But I thought this would be perfect because we're just in time for the Halloween/fall season, and this is a very quick and easy plushie to make, especially if you're a beginner just to decorate around the house. You can make him in all sorts of different colors. White is classic, but I think I might make him again in like blue or pink. He's really cute. Here's what he looks like up close. So I'm gonna take you step by step on how to make this adorable little ghost. And if you would like a written form of this pattern, it will be available on my Etsy right now. The link is in the description so you can check it out there. As always, please do not sell this pattern as your own or write it up because I have taken the time to write it up myself. So without further ado, let's get started. The materials you'll need for this project are a 6mm hook, a stitch marker, a pair of scissors, a pair of 6mm safety eyes, white blanket yarn, this is in the super bulky size, black blanket yarn, also in the super bulky size, and then optional, some pink yarn and some orange yarn. And last but not least, you'll need some polyfill. This is everything you need. I'm gonna start off with the body and we're going to be using the white yarn. So the very first step is to make a magic circle, and this is what I do to make my magic circle. I take my top two fingers and I take the bottom of the yarn and I put it here and hold it in between these two fingers, and I make an X like this and loop it again here at the bottom to hold it. So on this side there will be an X, and on the top it'll be two different lines. I'll take my hook, insert underneath this outside line and over this line, pull it through, and I'm going to twist towards me like this. And then you see this thread here. I'm going to slip it under and I'm going to pull through. And that is my magic circle. I know people make it a couple different ways, but that is what I found easiest for me. And I'm going to work 6 single crochets into this magic ring. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Once I have single crocheted 6, I'll double check by counting the stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is kind of hard to see if you are a beginner and white kind of blends in, but just try your best to look at the stitches from this side at the top. I'm gonna go ahead and place my stitch marker here, so I know that that's the beginning of my round, and I'm gonna close this shut. For round 2, I'm going to increase in each stitch, so we'll have a total of 12 stitches. I'll count again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that is where I know how to start. So I'm gonna put my hook through the stitches, and I'm going to increase in each stitch, which means 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So 1, 2, that's an increase, and then we're gonna move to the next stitch. 3, 4. So I have one more stitch to go, and it's just going to be another single crochet to finish this increase, but I wanted to show you how to make a single crochet if you don't know yet. Also, apologies for my nails. So you're gonna go under and then bring up a loop. See how my hook grabs the thread? And then I'm gonna go under again and then pull through both loops, and that is a single crochet. And that is round 2. I'm gonna move the stitch marker now to the loop that is on my hook. For round 3, we are just going to single crochet in each stitch around for a total of 12 stitches. 1 and 12. I'm gonna move my stitch marker again to the loop that's on my hook to mark the beginning of the next round. And as you can see, it's starting to curl in. What I like to do is the side where my thread is from my magic circle, I like that to be on the inside of my plushie, so I'm just going to flip this out and it'll start to look like this. For round 4, we're going to do another increase. So it's going to be a single crochet and increase 6 times. So into the first stitch, we're going to single crochet, and in the next stitch, we're going to increase, which again is 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And then we're going to single crochet again and increase in the next one. And we're going to repeat this pattern until the end of the row. So I'm on my last single crochet and increase, and you'll know that you've counted correctly if you end on an increase. That's usually how I do it. So I'm going to single crochet in this next one and then increase in the final stitch. This should now give me a total of 18 stitches around. And you can see that the shape of the ghost is starting to take form. For the next 4 rows, I'm just going to single crochet in each stitch around. So that's going to be rows 5 through 8. I'm just going to single crochet around, slip my marker, single crochet around, slip my marker, single crochet around, slip my marker, and then finally single crochet around and slip my marker. So we're just single crocheting around in each stitch. Should be a total of 18 stitches per round. And I'm going to repeat this 4 times. I finished doing the single crochets on my 4 rows, and now I'm going to be inserting the eyes. So what I like to do is fold it in half, and I'm going to take my 6mm safety eyes, and I'm just going to place it where I'd like it to be. I tend to like my eyes a little bit farther apart because I think it looks cuter, a little more derpy. So I'm just going to test out the spacing. I try to do 4 stitches in between the eyes so you can see 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'll put the other eye. And this is going to be just 1 row above where we had just finished. I'm just going to put the backings on these to secure them in place. And ta-da, this is the eye placement. In the next row, we're going to be doing bobble stitches, which is dependent on the placement of your eyes. So make sure that you pay attention to this part to make sure that your stitches are even. So for this row, I'm going to start with 4 single crochets. I like to do my bobble stitch just 1 right outside the eye. So you can see this is the next stitch in the round, and it's also right outside the eye. So that's where I want my bobble stitch. In order to do the bobble stitch, it's going to consist of 3 unfinished double crochets. And I know that sounds a little complicated, but this is how you do it. I'm going to yarn over and stick it into the next stitch. I'm going to come up and pull the loop through, and I'm going to have 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through only 2 of the loops, leaving 2 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to yarn over again, put it into the same stitch that I have been working in, and then pull the loop over. I will have 4 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. Finally, I'm going to yarn over again, put it through the same stitch we've been working in, pull through, and now I have 5 loops. And instead of pulling through just 2, I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. And this will create a little bobble stitch. The next stitch you want to single crochet in, and it's going to be right next to this bobble stitch, so it might be hard to see, but I'm going to single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After I've done 6, this next stitch is right outside of the eye, so that's where I want my bobble to go, and I'm going to do the bobble stitch again. So I'm going to yarn over, put my hook through the stitch, and pull over. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops, leaving 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over, stick my hook into the stitch, and pull the yarn through. I have 4 on my hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, leaving behind 3. I'm going to yarn over, put my hook through the same stitch, bring the yarn through again. I have 5 on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 5. And that is the bobble stitch. And then I'm just going to single crochet until I get back to my stitch marker. And those are the bobble rows. For the next round, I'm going to increase the circle once again. So to do this, I'm going to do 2 single crochets in an increase and do that 6 times. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and then an increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And then I'm going to do that pattern again. And I'm going to repeat that until I get back to my stitch marker. For the next row, I'm going to be crocheting in the back loop only. The point of crocheting in the back loop only is so that the plushie has a flat surface to sit on like this. So that is what we're going to do next. So if you look closely at the stitches, this might be hard to see with your plushie or blanket yarn, but there are 2 sides of the stitch. So there's this front loop here, and then there's a back loop here. What we're going to do is crochet in the back loop only. And not only are we going to crochet in the back loop only, we are also going to work a decrease, which means we are going to be closing the circle. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So usually you would come in here for the stitch, but we're just doing the back loop. So I'm going to do the back loop here, and I'm going to do 2 single crochets. 1 in the back loop, and then find the back loop again. 2 single crochets. Okay, and then we're going to decrease in the back loop only. So to decrease, we're going to combine the next 2 stitches together. So we're going to go find the back loop, put our hook through, and pull up a loop. So you have 2 on your hook, and then you're going to go to the next stitch, find this back loop, put your hook in, pull through. Now you have 3 on your hook, and you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. That's going to be a decrease. And then we're going to repeat that pattern until the end of the round. So find the back loop, 1 single crochet, find the back loop right here, 2 single crochet, and we're going to decrease. Hook through the back loop, pull up a yarn, you have 2 on the hook, find the next stitch through the back loop, hook through, pull up a yarn, you have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's the decrease. And then just repeat this pattern until the end of the row. Now that you finish that row of just crocheting in the back loop only, we're going to start stuffing the plushie lightly. I'm just using some regular polyfill, and I'm just going to stuff the ghost lightly. You want to make sure that you're not overstuffing the ghost, because if you do, you can get a really pointy top, unless you want that, but also it'll be covered by the hat, so it's fine. But another thing is that you want it to be, like we said before, sitting on a surface, so you don't want to fill it too much so that it's like ovally at the bottom. You want it to be able to sit down like this. I'm going to stop stuffing for now, and I'm going to finish up the plush. We're going to do another round of decrease, but this time it's going to be a single crochet, then a decrease, and repeat that to the end. We are not crocheting in the back loop only. That was only for the previous round. This time we're just going to crochet as normal. So we're going to do 1 single crochet and then 1 decrease. Again, put your hook through the stitch and pull up a yarn. You have 2 on your hook, and then put your hook through the next stitch, pull up, you have 3 on your hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. And repeat this pattern until you get to the end of the row. 1 single crochet and 1 decrease. Now that you've finished decreasing, you should have 12 stitches left on your row. For the next row, we're going to decrease in every single stitch. In order to do this, we're going to do a decrease, put your hook through the stitch, pull up the yarn, that's 2 on your hook. In the next stitch, put your hook through, pull up a yarn, that's 3 on your hook, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. And repeat that until you get to the end of the row. I'm at the end of my row, and I'm going to finish stuffing this a little bit more, just so the ghost can be a little bit more plushy. I'm just gonna stick it through this little hole here. And again, we're going to close it up. So I want to just keep testing to make sure that it'll sit flat and it's the plumpness that I want. I think this is good for me. And this was the final row actually, so we're just going to secure it, fasten off, and then sew it tight. So I'm going to take off the stitch marker and put the loop on my hook. This is how I like to fasten off my plushies. So in the next stitch, I'm going to slip stitch. So I put my hook in to the stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then pull through again. So I only have 1 left, and then I'm going to cut a tail for sewing, and I'm gonna pull through all the way and just tighten that. You can see there's a little hole left, so this is where you take your darning needle. I'm gonna thread that through, and I'm just going to sew this close. So I'm gonna go through the next stitch here, and then the next stitch from the inside out, next stitch from the outside in, and you can see it's closing a little bit. Next stitch from the inside out, and ta-da, it's closed. The best way I like to hide the extra is to just stab it through a close by stitch and then have it come out somewhere far away, and then pull this through. Once you pull that through, it's going to be hidden on the back end and it's going to come out here. I'm going to cut my yarn very close to the plushie, and then I'm going to take my darning needle and I'm just going to shove the excess into the stuffing like this, and then you won't even know that it's there. So this is the completed body of the ghost. And as you can see, it sits down perfectly on the surface. The next thing we're going to do is make this wave pattern at the bottom of the ghost so that it gives it the little floaty, flyy dimension. I'm going to be using the same white yarn that I used for the body. And what I'm going to do is create a knot to start. So this is how you would create it if you were just doing a regular crochet. So I wrap it around my finger like this. And then for the long tail, I just pull it through the loop I created. Ta-da, like that. And what you're going to do is you're going to find the round where we did the back loop only. So if you sit it down like this, you can see the stitches here where we started back loop only to make it flat on the bottom. It's kind of hard to see, but it's right here. And since we crocheted in the back loop only, we're going to be crocheting in the front loops of this round. What I like to do is to take this and tighten it up on my hook. And I'm just going to pull through. And that's going to connect the two yarns. In the very same stitch that we had just pulled through, I'm going to do a single crochet. So I'm going to reinsert my hook with my yarn, pull through, up, yarn over, and pull through all two. And that is going to start. And then I'm going to skip a stitch. This is kind of hard to see, but I'm going to skip a stitch, which is right here. You can use your fingers to feel around, but I'm going to skip a stitch. And then I'm going to crochet into the next stitch. So I'm going to skip a stitch and I'm going to double crochet into the next stitch. Bring the yarn over, skip a stitch, go into the next stitch. And if it's hard for you to find, like it kind of is for me here, and what you can do is you can pinch the plushie so you can kind of see where we made that back loop only row. So I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to skip a stitch, and then find the next front loop stitch. So here is the one stitch I'm skipping, and then I'm going to find the front loop. I'm going to insert my hook in, and I'm going to make a double crochet. So that means I'm going to pull up. There's 3 on my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2. And then there's 2 left, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a double crochet. I'm going to make 5 double crochets in the same stitch. So that was 1, yarn over, put the hook through, pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 2, do that again, 3, 4, and 5. So all 5 of these double crochets are within the same stitch here at the bottom. So now I'm going to skip another stitch, which is right here. I'm going to skip this stitch, and I'm going to do a single crochet into the next stitch here. So skip a stitch, and then single crochet into this next stitch here. And that creates the first scalloped edge. To do the next one, we're going to single crochet in the very next stitch. We're going to skip a stitch, which is right here, and we're going to work in this next stitch, the 5 double crochets. So for the 5 double crochets again, skip this next stitch and 5 double crochets in this stitch. Once I have my 5 double crochets, again, I'm going to skip a stitch here and then insert my hook into the next stitch and do a single crochet. So that's the second one. I'm going to repeat that pattern again. So single crochet into the next stitch, skip a stitch, and then 5 double crochets in the next one. That's 5 double crochets, skip the next stitch, and then single crochet in the stitch after that. Okay, and we're gonna repeat that until the very end. I am on the last scallop edge. You can see it's really close to where we started. I finished the 5 double crochets. I'm gonna skip this stitch, and I'm going to single crochet in the next one, which is also the beginning of our first scalloped edge. Okay, so single crocheted there. So once I've single crocheted that, I'm going to join the 2 scalloped edges together, and to do that, I'm going to slip stitch in this first stitch of the very first scalloped edge. So I'm going to stick my hook through, loop over, pull through, and pull through again, and I'm going to cut my yarn and pull all the way through. Okay. Now we have the scalloped edges everywhere, and I'm going to sew in these ends. So now we have our ghost, and he sits here with his little scalloped edge, and we're going to add the details. So the first thing I'm going to add is the smile, and I'm going to be using my black blanket yarn for that. In order to make the smile, I'm going to thread this black yarn through my darning needle, and I'm going to go 1 stitch below the eye. So this is the eye, and I'm gonna go 1 stitch below, stick my darning needle in here, and have it come through the stitch right underneath the other eye. And I'm gonna pull that through. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to go back in to where I first put through my needle, here, and then I'm gonna bring my darning needle 1 row below. So here's the original row where I also pulled the thread through here. I'm gonna go 1 below that. So here in the middle. Make sure you're threading through the eyes. So to make the smile, before I thread through, I'm going to make sure that my needle is above where this loose end is. Since that's gonna make the smile, it's going to catch it. So I'm gonna pull that. See, it's like a little smile. And then what I'm going to do is lift this up a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my needle back through the same stitch that I originally came out of. And I'm just going to stick it through the back here. And once I pull through, you can see that it's made a little smile. And then I just kind of adjust this as needed. I like to pull a little bit of slack out. It makes the smile look not so sharp, but you can do as you wish. So that is the smile. I'm going to cut close to the edge here, and I'm going to stuff it in. Just take the back of my darning needle and shove that inside. And then same thing here, I'm going to cut very close, and I'm just going to shove this in as well. So here is the smile. You can leave your ghost like this if you wanted to, but I'm going to add some blush accents because I think that's cute. To make the blush, I'm going to take my pink yarn and thread that through my darning needle. And I'm going to come right under the eye like this, or you can come over to the side here. It all depends what you like. I actually might do the side right here. I'm going to pull through and then put my needle back to where it started and then come over to the other side like this. Pull that through, come through here and just push it through the back. Now you can see the little blush accents. It's kind of hard to see on the white, but if you made this ghost in a different color, I'm sure it would pop more, or you could use red yarn. That would also work really well too. But I'm just gonna cut the back closely and then also cut the front closely and stuff these in just like I did for the smile. And this is what the ghost looks like right now. I did make this smile. I'm just now noticing a little bit wider than this one, so he looks a little derpy, but that's okay. You can make him look as derpy or as mustache-like as you want. But now we're gonna move on and make the hat. To make the hat, I'm going to be using my black blanket yarn, and I'm going to be making a magic circle. So again, to make the magic circle, I'm gonna take the end of my yarn and put it through my first top 2 fingers and secure it here. I'm going to make an X like this and secure it back at the bottom. Flip it around. Take my 6mm hook, the same one I used for the ghost. I'm gonna go under the first loop and pull over the second loop. I'm gonna twist towards me. I'm gonna go under this loop here, the one closest towards me, and pull through, and that is your magic circle. And I'm gonna work 4 single crochets into this magic circle. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm gonna put my stitch marker just to make sure I know where the beginning of my round is. And I'm gonna take the other end and pull it tight. Next, I'm just going to do 4 single crochets, so 1 single crochet in each of the stitches that we just made. So I'm gonna count back 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I know this is the first stitch of my round. I do that because sometimes it's hard to see in 4. This is gonna be kind of tight because we're not doing an increase. It's gonna make the hat pointy. So if I flip it inside out, again, remember, this long thread is going to be on the inside. It's going to look like this, like a little nub. Okay, move the stitch marker, and I'm going to increase in each stitch around to make a total of 8 stitches. So in the next stitch, I'm gonna work 2 single crochets for an increase. And I'm gonna do that all the way to the end of my row. And that is the end of that row. In the next row, we're also going to increase the circle. So that means we're going to do a single crochet, increase, and then repeat that until the end of the row. So in the next stitch, we're going to single crochet, And the stitch after that, we're going to increase, which means 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And we're gonna repeat that until we reach the end of our row. In the next row, we're going to increase again, but this time it'll be 2 single crochets and then an increase. So we're going to do 2 single crochets and then we're going to increase and repeat that until the end of the row. Once you have finished that row, we're going to single crochet in the front loop only. So just like we did the ghost, there was a front loop and a back loop. For the ghost, we did the back loop only, but for the hat, we're going to do the front loop only. So we're going to do 16 of those around till the end of the row. In the front loop only of the next stitch, I'm going to do a single crochet and then move to the next stitch. Do the same thing, front loop only, single crochet. I'm going to do that until the end of the row. I've made it to the end of the row, and what that front loop only is going to do is going to start the brim of the hat. As you can see here, as it folds up a little bit, it creates a brim. For the next row, we're just going to single crochet as usual all the way to the end of the row. Now that you've gotten to the end of this row, that's going to be it. So we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. So pull through and pull through, and then cut a long tail for sewing. Once we've cut that, I'm going to pull all the way through, tighten it, and then fold the brim over so it looks like this. So now that we have our hat done, we can plop it on the ghost how we want it. I want mine to look kind of like this, and I'm going to make sure the side with the sewing is on the back. I'm going to take my darning needle, thread it through, and sew the hat onto my ghost. But because it says on the top, if I sew it down like this, it's going to pull down the hat like that. So instead, I'm going to go through the brim of the hat like this, and then pull it through the white part here. And that way, it'll keep the folded brim intact. I'm just going to sew this around so that the hat is attached to the ghost. Okay, I finished sewing on my hat to my ghost, and as you can see, you can push it down a little bit if you want it to be folded over, but now I'm just going to add a little bobble to the top. This is optional, but I do think it adds a little something to make it a little less plain. So I just grabbed this random orange yarn I had in my yarn cabinet, and I'm just going to thread it through my needle, and I'm going to go to the end of my hat, and I'm just going to put it through the very end, and I'm going to thread through quite a bit, and I'm just going to come up the end that we originally went through, and I'm not going to pull through all the way. I'm going to leave it a little bit loose like that, and I'm just going to keep doing this to the same entrance and exit to give the tip of the hat a little orange. It's going to kind of look like an orange bauble once you build it up enough. I'm going to cut it on both ends and shove it inside just like I do the rest of the loose threads. And there's your completed ghost. So that is it for the ghost tutorial. Now I have 2 little ghosties to add to my collection, but let me know what you guys think. You can make these in a bunch of different colors. You can customize the hat, the little bauble, and I think it's very, very cute and very, very easy to make. Let me know what you guys would like to see next, and let me know if you make these. You can tag me on my Instagram, or you can just leave me a comment below to say that you've made it. I think that would be super exciting. Again, if you want a written pattern, it's going to be on my Etsy page, link in the description below. But without further ado, that is going to be it for the ghosties. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!